I've had the opportunity to spend time with CEOs. I'm always interested to hear their views on why it is so difficult to drive rapid and profitable growth. The responses are mostly as follows. 1. The world is changing faster and in more unpredictable ways. 2. As soon as our strategy is formulated, changes in the environment make it less effective. 3. Most of the time we are playing defense. And 4. Short-term firefighting gets in the way of long-term strategy work. So how important is good strategy then? We use a simple but important measure: market capitalization per employee. So dividing market capitalization by the number of employees, we get an idea of how much value the company generates in the eyes of the investment community. Take Procter & Gamble, one of the biggest companies in the world. It generates $1.8 million per employee. JP Morgan Chase, one of the biggest banks in the world, generates $780,000 per person. Now compare that to Apple. It generates $4.5 million, nearly 3 times as much as the big stalwart companies of old. And even more impressive, Facebook generates $23 million market capitalization per employee. It highlights the profound difference in the perception of value each company has in the eyes of the investor community. So why this difference in value? For one important reason. Investors think that the strategies in play will deliver superior returns. Take Yahoo. Its market cap per employee is down 50%, from 5 million to 2.5 million per employee. Investors simply think there is no credible strategy to deliver future growth and profitability. So the conclusion is simple and profound. Strategy is the single most important determinant of growth and value. And since CEOs are mostly rewarded with stock options, his or her capability to continuously develop and execute the most effective strategy has a direct impact on their personal prosperity. So, what then is at the core of low-value strategy? Simply, strategy builds on what exists today. Low-value strategy builds on the existing infrastructure and competence. The future is an extrapolation of the past. So why is this extrapolation paradigm so entrenched? We ascribe it to a deep and intractable paradox that most CEOs and boards face. Do we change our strategy, or do we continue on the road we've chosen? On the one hand, there is immense pressure to constantly change the strategy in order to deliver increasing value, while on the other hand, there is immense pressure to retain the current strategy in order to run the organization at the highest efficiency, at the lowest cost, without major disruptions. Frequently, the choice is to stick with the least disruptive, lowest cost option. Invariably a bad choice. Why a bad choice, you may think? In our experience, extrapolating the past assumes the same option boundaries are valid. Your company can only build on what it had before, which inexorably leads more and more to lower pricing and cost cutting as the only workable strategy. This leads to less retained earnings, less reinvestment, and severely restricted room to reinvent the organization. It is a slow, relentless grinding down of every person, system, and technology, eventually to completely lose its competitiveness to a better strategized competitor. To put the importance of strategy in perspective, CEO careers are built or destroyed only on their choice of strategy. No growth, and the market capitalization declines. Unreliable performance, and the same thing happens. Superbly successful CEOs deliver growth reliably and consistently over time. And for that to be the case, the CEO must have stellar strategy. Nothing else matters. Superbly successful CEOs spend nearly all of their waking time on strategy. Everything else is delegated. They work very hard to deeply understand how to consistently direct their companies to grow rapidly and reliably. They relentlessly tear out and reconfigure the company's operating systems. They are constantly on the hunt for information, tools, services, and capabilities that can help accelerate growth and predictability. And they constantly strive to destroy the greatest strategy cancer of all, complacency and routine. So, how do you build a great strategy? Great strategy requires a company to change from assuming that the future being an extrapolation of the current capability to a brutal, no sacred approach to reframing everything around the one thing that the business should do better than everyone else. So in our experience, there are 4 crucial requirements. 1, changing the company's fundamental belief about what is required to what is possible. 2, using the right management tools to understand the organization as a system and what prevents it from growing more profitably. 3, clearly defining, articulating, and communicating strategy in the most simple of terms so that everyone is aligned. And 4, to engage and inspire the organization to take on the constant realignment and reconfiguration required to stay ahead of the competition. It's not an easy capability to build and maintain, but the results are profound. As you get far more than just improving corporate valuation. People want to be part of successful companies. They know that their individual security is much better served in successful, well-strategized organizations. The company easily gets the best people to join, thereby reinforcing the success loop. Better strategy, better people, better results. And corporate success in and of itself is a huge motivator, much more so than individual performance assessments that many companies do. Strong team success drives the individuals to want to contribute more, driving another reinforcing loop. And the most successful of businesses, the more aggressive it can be in driving growth. If the investors, executives, and employees feel that the CEO is well in control of the company's destiny, they embrace strategy with enthusiasm, allowing for the company to take far more risk. The opposite happens in companies where everybody thinks the company is on the defensive. They become self-protective, they become wary of change, they silently support the defensible work and processes, and everything slows down. If you as the CEO is not striving to deliver great strategy, you will not get the proportionally huge gains that come from being a stellar strategist. And they are a legendary reputation. Name your price executive positions. You can demand what you wish and you'll get it. You get to do awesome stuff that the financial press will write about. And you build stockholder value faster and bigger than anyone thought possible. And all of it comes from one core competency that you must develop and perfect above all else: to develop and deploy awesome strategy. Nothing else matters. We've worked with some of the world's most successful and wealthy individuals and companies to help build spectacularly successful strategy for their businesses, covering the 3 essential elements. 1, strategy design and validation. 2, deployment execution. And 3, socio-organizational alignment. So, if you have the burning fire in your gut to be a spectacularly successful CEO, then you must talk to us about strategy today.